It says preparing. Meeting is now streaming. Setting up your meeting for custom streaming service. We're almost there. And it appears we are officially live. All right, everyone. I am super happy to do this podcast. We're doing these video podcasts right now because we're trying to make the most of this and during quarantine right now. And today we got a friend of mine, Ryan Levesque, who runs the Ask company. So he does a lot of different things around, well, I'm going to let him talk about it, but quizzes, survey funnels. He's got a company called bucket.io. There's just a lot of stuff that you have going on. Look, Ask Method Company. I think that's the real name, right? Then, so here, I'm gonna give the quick bio real quick, and then Ryan, you can kind of add to that if you want. All right.
Sure.
So we got people coming in right now. Look, #1 national best-selling author of the books Choose and Ask, and #1 marketing book of the year. Entrepreneur as a #2 must-read book for budding entrepreneurs, has been featured in Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Forbes, Entrepreneur, on NBC News and Fox, and over 250,000 entrepreneurs subscribe to his email newsletter. There's so much stuff. I'm just gonna let you talk about. But Ryan, first and foremost, how's it going?
Eric, man, it's awesome to be here. Super grateful to be chatting with you and excited to dive right in.
Awesome. So yeah, why don't you give us a little more background and you talk about kind of, what it is that you do exactly, and maybe even a little background on your story too.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for having me here. Really grateful to have this conversation. And a little bit about me. So I'm someone who came into this world about 15 years ago. Before that, I was working in finance after college, and I wanted to build my own business. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to start my own company. And so what I ended up doing is over the course of a decade, I went into 23 different niche markets. And in each of those markets, I used a strategy that's come to be now known as the Ask method, which really involves using a quiz funnel, a funnel by which when people land on your website, you ask a series of questions to funnel them into several buckets. And based on those answers, put the right product in front of them, put the right offer in front of them, the right message in front of them, the right content piece in front of them, whatever it may be. And in that process, we built a 3-time Inc. 500 company, make millions of dollars a year working from home. We built a software company called Bucket that over 30 million people a year use. So 30 million people are taking quizzes every single year on this platform, and that's just continuing to explode. And in the past decade, helped literally thousands of other entrepreneurs build quiz funnels in their business in all sorts of different markets, from SaaS companies, tech companies, to e-com companies, to coaches and consultants and professional services, and really everything in between. So really excited to dive right in, share some of the wisdom and learnings that I've picked up along the way, and talk about what I think is a really cool opportunity in this post-COVID world to be generating leads and customers digitally online for whatever it is that you sell.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Even before we started, we had a quick conversation. You shared some amazing numbers. I just want to I want people to get a sense of what people can do with this. And then also, if you can share some numbers around the business too, because people love that, that would be great. So I think you shared a number around the email subs that someone collected, a large amount. Can we start with that? And then around the business?
Yeah, for sure. So and I'll give you just a few examples. So literally before this interview, got off the phone with one of our clients, one of our users. And in the middle of coronavirus, when this was all hitting, they generated 1,032,000 email subscribers in 10 days on the back of a quiz funnel that they built for their market. So over 1 million email subscribers in less than 2 weeks in the middle of all this. It resulted immediately in hundreds of thousands of dollars in immediate revenue. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in recurring monthly revenue just on the back of this list that they've built. Now, that's one example, right? And I could go in example after example. Another company, Snack Nation, was number 24 on the Inc. 500 list. Number 24 on the Inc. 500 list last year, and built a $24 million subscription box company on the back of a quiz funnel where they ask a series of questions on their homepage to figure out what type of offer to put in front of you. And they use it as a form of real-time lead scoring. So they ask questions to put people, the best leads to their best provider, their best offer. So put them in front of a sales rep, and their worst leads, their coldest leads, put them on more of a nurture drip schedule if they're not ready to buy right now. So Those are literally two conversations I've had in the today alone. I'll give you some other examples. For those of you who are watching this right now, looking to make a big exit in your business, two companies that use this strategy that I was involved with in big exits. One was in the golf niche, a quiz funnel to help identify what mistakes people are making in their golf swing. That led to an exit and acquisition to NBC. So NBC Golf bought this company, Revolution Golf, 9-figure acquisition, and transformed it into a product that's now called Golf Pass. Built a list of about 2 million golfers on the back of this. Another example, business funding space, company that we built a quiz funnel called Loan Builder. So a quiz funnel designed to figure out what type of business funding is right for you as an entrepreneur. So to get you connected with the right business funding source. This led to an acquisition by PayPal for $183 million. There's an insurance company right now built on the back of a quiz that recently had a valuation of $450 million. And so you might be asking, where do these huge valuations come from? Well, it comes from a few different places. Number one, quizzes help generate incredibly cheap leads. So if you are generating leads for your business and you're paying $2 a lead, $5 a lead, $10 a lead, whatever it may be, oftentimes people will cut their cost per lead down to 1/3 to 1/10 the cost. So we're talking 26-cent leads, 28-cent leads, and so on and so forth. Incredibly high volume. You saw the example that I mentioned to you, 1 million leads in less than 2 weeks. But here's the piece that people often forget. He or she who has access to the most data wins. This is why Google, this is why Amazon, this is why Facebook are so incredibly successful, because of the amount of data they have access to. When you use a quiz funnel as your lead and customer acquisition strategy, you don't just know a person's name and email address. You know all these data points about them, which allow you to market to them more effectively, but also allow you to find more people who are like those individuals. So if you find out that your best customers have data point A, B, and C, well, then you can use that information to find more people like that. With our technology platform, we have a direct integration with Facebook API, so you can build custom audiences and lookalike audiences based on any number of parameters around how people answer these questions. So incredibly valuable data, high conversion rates. When you're customizing what you put in front of people based on their answers, you'll often double or triple your conversion rates. So if you've got a funnel right now where you're putting a software demo in front of people and it's the same demo, no matter what the person is, imagine a scenario where you ask a few questions and put in front of them a custom case study, a custom white paper, a custom demo based on their demographic profile and who they are. Conversion rates often double or triple. And in the Snack Nation example that I mentioned, they literally tripled their MRR. They literally tripled their MRR to build a $24 million a year business on the back of this, their quiz funnel. So all these reasons, and of course, having a quiz funnel like this, it's one of these things, there's so few marketing strategies that benefit you as the business and your customers at the same time. This is one of these strategies that allows you to better sell, but also better serve. Because when someone comes to your website, it's not natural for you to just begin selling your product or putting everybody in the same bucket. If you were to have a conversation with a prospective client, you begin by doing what? You begin by asking questions, right? You ask them a little bit more, tell me a little bit more about your situation, tell me a little bit more about your business, about your life. And based on those answers, you're going to talk about your product or service in a different way based on how they answer those questions. And that's just basically what you're doing, but you're doing it at scale in an automated way in your funnel. So that's kind of the premise. That's the big idea behind it and the big opportunity behind building a quiz funnel and using a quiz funnel in your business.
Got it. And then that actually ties in directly with the software that you have, Bucket.io. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because and then while you're talking about it, I'm just trying to imagine, like, how does it look? How is it practical for people? Like, is it a modal that pops up? Are you making landing pages? Like, all that.
It's a great question. So this can take a couple different shapes and forms. And so the most straightforward implementation of this is as follows. Imagine someone clicks on your ad or social post. So they click on your Facebook ad, they clicked on your YouTube video link, they click on your social handle, they visit a URL, and they're greeted with effectively a landing page that invites them to take the quiz. So for example, one of our clients is an M&A specialist. So she helps people sell their business. So we have a quiz. She has a quiz called "What's your sellability score? How sellable is your business? Take this assessment to find out now." And by the way, If you're in a B2B space, you might position your quiz as an assessment versus a quiz to make it a bit more sort of, professional. And so it's a landing page with a button on it. The button elicits a modal, and in the modal, you're asking a series of questions. And of course, you want something that's mobile optimized, because a lot of this traffic is going to be mobile traffic, also desktop optimized as well. And you can imagine answering a series of multiple choice questions that take people down one of several paths based on, do you sell multiple products? You might put people into one of several product paths. Do you want to do real-time lead scoring? For example, ask questions to figure out, like in the M&A specialist case, is this someone who's ready to sell their business right now and has the pieces in place? Or are they looking to sell their business in 2 years from now? In which case, she might want to put her book in front of those people as opposed to get on a sales call right away. Do you sell the same product, but you can serve different groups of people? So if you've got a software product, a SaaS, a tech platform, for example, that maybe serves 2 different types of customers or 4 different types of customers, you might want to know a little bit about that person so you can position your product to be specifically for them as opposed to a one-size-fits-all answer. So landing page, click on button, elicit modal, answer multiple choice questions, culminate in acquisition, so lead acquisition, name, email, phone number, whatever you need at that stage of the process. And then on the back side of that, take people to one of several assets, whether it's a short video, a demo, a white paper. In your case, Eric, it could be the best podcast episode for them based on who they are. So that's a great use case for this. If you've got a lot of content, like in your case, hey, if you might enjoy our podcast, but instead of trying to point you to a random episode, tell me a little bit about yourself and I'll point you to the best 3 episodes for you. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a hyper engaged listener who's listening to a really kick-ass episode that's going to be exactly where they're at, as opposed to the most recent episode that may or may not be the best thing for them to listen to first. So that's kind of what we're looking at in a nutshell.
Okay, that's helpful. And you mentioned Snack Nation. So funny enough, I used to intern from them when they're doing $0 in revenue. This is a long time ago.
That's crazy. I was just talking to Andy Mackinson yesterday.
Andy's great. Yeah. So we talk every now and then. He's great. So is Sean. But it's anyway, that's a whole small world thing. Like me sitting down to you and next to you, and like we had our own conversation, but I'll leave that for later. So Snack Nation's a good example. Who are some other good examples that people like to swipe, people like to look for examples. Who else is there to look at?
Yeah, so 2 examples that I gave you. So Revolution Golf, now Golf Pass, take a look at with multiple quiz funnels in that business. Another example is Loan Builder. So Loan Builder was bought by PayPal. Take a look at what Loan Builder is doing in that space. I have so many examples. Michael Hyatt, New York Times bestselling author, he has something called the platform assessment. How to figure out what stage of growth your platform is at right now. Proactive, the skincare company that sells acne care products. They've got a quiz called the skin type. What's your skin type? And based on your answers, they'll direct you to one of their skincare packages, whether you've got oily skin, dry skin, whatever your skin condition is, they'll direct you to a suite of products based on that. So that's another great example. The real age test is another one. So Dr. Oz popularized this. It's a test that over 40 million people have taken. Take this assessment to find out what your body's real age is. Gosh, I could go on. Will Hamilton is in the tennis space. He's got a business called Fuzzy Yellow Balls, and he teaches people how to play tennis. He's got about a dozen quizzes in that business. I can think of Charlie Wallace, teaches people how to play guitar. He's a rock musician. I've got his debut album right here, which landed number 9 on the Billboard charts.
Nice.
He's a musician. He teaches people how to play guitar. He's got a guitar progress killers quiz that he takes people through. So, literally I could go, we've got a quiz in our business. You can go to choosequiz.com to check this out. And this isn't a plug for my book, although I'll mention it. We have a book, Choose, which is all about how to decide what type of business to start. And we use a quiz to sell this book. And so we have a quiz that's called Choose the Quiz, to help you decide what type of business is right for you. So we ask people a series of questions to know a little bit more about their personality, their resources. Are you self-funding? Are you raising money? What your goals are with your business, how you'd like to spend your time. And based on all that information, we take them down one of 16 possible paths, 16 possible outcomes to recommend what business model makes sense for them. And in each of those cases, we are selling people on the idea of buying a copy of our book or getting a free copy of our book and just paying a few dollars shipping and handling. And that leads into our other products and services. So that's a real example that people can check out to swipe and be inspired by as well. So
Got it.
I could literally, we could spend the entire time we have, I could rattle off literally hundreds of different quiz funnels that are absolutely crushing it in market after market. Those will give you a few to get started with.
Yeah, I love that. And we'll drop that in the show notes as well. I guess my question is, for like Snack Nation, or you look at StrengthsFinder, Proactive, Real Age, or even Loan Builder, are they using your software? Or is it just they have a quiz type of setup?
Yeah, so in many of these examples, so if we look at Snack Nation is a bucket user. If we look at Charlie Wallace, he's a bucket user. If we look at a lot of these, most of the example, Michael Hyatt, bucket user. Loan Builder, initially bucket user, and then eventually decided to build their own platform. So I think in certain use cases, Revolution Golf, same thing. So I think in certain cases, for certain businesses, it makes sense to develop your own platform if that's your core business. For most businesses, where this is a lead acquisition tool, where you're actually using this methodology, this strategy as a way to bring in customers, to bring in leads to your business, but it's not your core business, it makes sense to use a best-in-class technology platform that's out there. In the same way that, could you build your own email service provider? You certainly could, right? You absolutely could. Does it make sense for most businesses to do that? Probably not. At some point, when you reach a certain scale, it may make sense to build your own email service platform, to host it on your own server, and to maintain it like your own piece of software. But for most businesses, most SaaS companies, it doesn't make sense. You should focus on your core business. And so that's one of the reasons why we built this platform, is because the thing that held most people back is this premise, this idea of building a quiz funnel is exciting and people get it and they understand the opportunity. But then when it comes time to actually building it, the tech is what held people back. So we decided to build a best-in-class piece of software specifically designed to build quiz funnels that put people into buckets so you can customize your offers and customize your messaging.
Love it. And I'm just looking at the LinkedIn comments right now. There's a guy named Steve Page here. And LinkedIn, sorry, I can't respond to you directly. I can only respond to Facebook and YouTube. So Steve Page says he uses bucket.io. We use it for ourselves and clients. It's pretty sweet. And then one person asks, Jordan asks, how does bucket.io compare to Typeform?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Typeform is a great tool for building surveys and for asking questions. The differentiator for what makes Bucket different is it's a tool that allows you to use branching logic, conditional logic, skipping logic. It allows you to incorporate prior questions into subsequent questions. It allows you to do things like scoring logic, so you can weight answers in a different weighting, and really build a lot of granularity into how you're segmenting people into different buckets. As from a builder perspective, our brand new Bucket platform that we're just about to be releasing, which we're going to talk a little bit about, has full drag and drop builder capability. So a Typeform is great, but the interface is very limited. With this, you have full drag and drop builder capability. So you can build any page that you could ever dream of, that your designer could ever dream of within the platform itself, and use that to take people in different directions. You can imagine a lucid chart style canvas builder. So imagine being able to actually move boxes around in the form of a flow chart, just connecting things with lines and connection points. And that is actually building what your quiz funnel is going to look like in real time. So you have this full canvas at your disposal. So if you've ever used Lucid Chart or a similar tool to sketch out what you want your funnel to look like, you do that right inside the app and it builds your quiz funnel in real time for you.
That's awesome.
So Typeform, I think, is a great tool for certain use cases, and I've really nothing negative to say about it. It's really just a drill and hammer conversation. What's better, a drill or a hammer? They're just two different tools for two different jobs. Bucket, the core use case, is building lead and customer acquisition quiz funnels for putting people into buckets. Typeform is more of a survey tool, more of a tool that you can ask questions and get customer feedback.
Got it. I'm sure some people are wondering right now too. It's like, oh, this all sounds amazing. Ryan, you sound amazing. Can you just do it for us? So do you guys have maybe you guys have templates in bucket.io that people can kind of just swipe and deploy because people like me are lazy. And then B, if people want someone to do it for them because they're even lazy or they don't have time, how do they do that?
So it's a great question. So the short answer is with the new platform that we're releasing, there's a full template library that we're launching with. So you have the ability to take pre-designed quizzes, and not just the landing pages themselves, but the actual quizzes themselves as well. So there's two components to this, right? Which is the look and feel. I want it to look beautiful when someone lands on my quiz page. That's one component. But then the other component is I need help thinking through what the actual quiz questions are going to be and how that actually gets laid out. So we have pre-built templates. So that's number one. Number two, and we'll talk a little bit about this at the tail end of the interview, we have an opportunity coming up where I am going to be teaching how to build one of these quiz funnels from start to finish. It's a free workshop that I'm going to be doing. And within that workshop, there's going to be an opportunity to, number one, get access to all the training to build one of these from start to finish. Number two, get access to this yet to be released enterprise level Bucket 2.0 software that we've been building for the last 18 months, number two. And number three, to answer your question, an opportunity to have our team actually build your quiz for you. So there's an opportunity for that. And the reason why we're doing that is multifold. Number one, to your point, Eric, we know that that's the single biggest thing that holds people back from getting this done, is they just need someone to actually put fingers to the keyboard and build the thing. So we've made that opportunity available. Number two, we're doing this because we want to launch with a massive splash of brand new case studies and examples. And we know the fastest way, the best way to do that is to just take that piece of work off of people's plates and build the quiz for you. So at the end of this interview, we can talk about the opportunity that's coming up and when that all starts, and anyone who's interested, how to get access to that.
That's freaking exciting. I'm going to sign up for that for sure. So LinkedIn, Brian is asking, is your tool more for well-established companies? I'm going to say, I don't think so, but you can answer. You're the owner.
The answer is both. So we have brand new startups that are using this for the first time ever, and they're using this to launch their business. There's no better way to launch a brand new audience from scratch than to do it on the back of a quiz funnel for a couple of reasons. Number one, the leads are incredibly cheap. You're never going to find a way that you can build a list more inexpensively than on the back of a quiz funnel. Number two, you're never going to have a way to know about your audience from the ground up in a better way than doing it on the back of a quiz funnel. So imagine you launch a brand new business, you've got all these data points, and now you can put different offers in front of them based on how they've answered those questions. So for a startup, for someone who's literally starting a business from scratch, it's a great option. At the same time, we literally have 100 million and billion-dollar companies using the platform. Another example, Hay House Publishing. Hay House is one of the top 10 largest publishing houses in the entire country. They publish books for people like Brendan Burchard, Russell Brunson, some of the Jim Quick, who just has a New York Times bestselling book that just debuted at number 5 on the New York Times list. Literally, I could go down who's who of authors. Every single one of their authors that they launch with a quiz funnel, and they do it in bucket.io. So this is a 9-figure, a multi-$100 million publishing company, and they've trusted Bucket as their platform for building their quizzes. So whether you're just a startup or a $100 million plus company or somewhere in between, this is a platform and a methodology that you can use and believe in.
That's awesome. Final question I'm going to read from live for now. It's actually 3 questions. This comes from June. It's a rapid fire one. So A, does the software plug into Shopify? B, does it slow down site speed or affect SEO? That's a great question. Third one is, what's the best lead gen channel for quiz? I can reread them, but those are the 3.
So great. So let's talk about Shopify. So there's nothing stopping you from putting a quiz and then driving people to one of several Shopify pages on the back of the quiz. You can absolutely do that. Bucket has a Zapier connection point so that you can use Zapier to connect anything that you want from that perspective. It also has direct integrations with the most popular email service providers to push those data points directly into your ESP. So whether you're using Infusionsoft, Keep, ConvertKit, Drip, any one of these platforms, you'll drive the data directly into that. And if there's something that doesn't have a direct integration, Zapier makes it possible to push all the data through. So that's a connection point question. Second question is around site speed. So one of the things that you can do with Bucket is you can host it on one of our domains. So you can imagine Bucket quizzes, Bucket pages, Bucket survey, whatever you want. You can also set up a custom domain. With a custom domain, what most people do is some form of subdomain or direct domain to host their Bucket quiz, and then just use that as a connection point into your main domain. From a site speed perspective, I will say this, our core use case is conversion. So we're focused on conversion. We know site speed is important. And so everything that we've done is optimized around site speed. I'm not the technical founder in the business, so I don't want to pretend to spew server specifics, but I will say this, we have a incredibly scalable architecture on the back end. Again, we've scaled, I mentioned one quiz that did 1 million email subscribers, 1 million leads in less than 10 days. So we have the ability to scale fast. And if you're driving high volume and site speed is important to you, we can certainly help you with that. And then the third question was around best lead sources. So best traffic sources. So we find quizzes are incredibly universal from a lead source perspective. And what I would say is, here's some of the places that quizzes do incredibly well. Any form of social traffic. So Instagram, Facebook, either paid or organic, converts incredibly well. On the B2B side, LinkedIn traffic converts incredibly well. On the paid side, Google display and even Google search converts incredibly well. And what I believe is one of the biggest untapped opportunities in front of us right now is YouTube. YouTube video to quiz is incredibly powerful. I'll give you an example of this. Local dentist has multiple dental practices. She gets on video and she says, are you thinking about dental implants? Could dental implants be right for you? Take our dental implant quiz by clicking the link below this video now, and I'll recommend what type of dental implant might make the most sense for you. Click the button below and I'll see you on the other side. So you can imagine that story being retold in market after market after market. So all of those traffic sources represent great opportunities.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. I do want to kind of talk about how the current situation right now, given the pandemic, as we were talking about before we even went live, how things have really accelerated for us, and some things have gone, spectacularly well. So can you speak to that? Any numbers you can share, etc.?
Yeah, totally.
What you've been doing? Yeah, but drink your juice first.
Yeah, you know this, I'm a type 1 diabetic. So when I can feel my sugar crashing, I've got to like throw in my emergency juice box is behind me. But this is what we're drinking right now.
I love it.
I feel like I'm 5 years old.
Those were good. I remember drinking them, all the time. So yeah.
Oh, the best part about it is they're small, and I guess this one's not organic. Usually they're organic, the ones that I have. So yeah, let's talk post-COVID. There's so many businesses that have been disrupted in our world, and what's interesting is that many businesses have had a tremendous amount of success shifting their focus from traditional ways of getting leads and customers to doing it online. And so, for example, we have a lot of businesses that rely on speaking events, going to conferences, networking, meeting with prospective clients in sort of one of these traditional paths. And they've been scrambling to find strategies that allow them to generate leads and customers online. And one of the most effective ways to be doing that is through a quiz funnel. And I'll give you an example. So Snack Nation, a company that we've talked about, they deliver snacks, boxes of snacks to physical offices. Now, a lot of offices have been closed. So what did they do? They shifted their quiz funnel to ask, are you buying snacks for yourself or are you buying snacks for remote employees? And so they just built a new funnel that just asks, where are your employees? How are they distributed? Are they all in one area? How many employees do you have? And based on that information, put together a new offer that serves the remote employee market. And they're having one of their best months in history. Now you'd think a company that serves snacks to physical offices would be decimated on the back of this. How are they able to succeed? Well, they were able to pivot on the back of this strategy right here. For us in our business, just not tied to quizzes specifically, we had a live event. So we do these live events periodically throughout the year where we'll teach how to build a quiz funnel in a 3-day live event environment. And we had one of these recently, and we were forced to shift our event from a live event, which had over 255 registrants to come in person, to a virtual event. Now, we were talking about this before we came on camera, that if you would have told me 6 months ago, cancel the live event, like tell the hotel you're not going to host it, Just do it on Zoom instead. I'm telling you, it's going to be so much better. I never would have believed you. But here's what we found coming out of it. Number one, we had our highest NPS score, attendee NPS score of any event we've ever done, live or virtual. That's number one.
What was it?
NPS, I forget, but we were 9.4 out of 10.
Amazing.
On a scale from 1 to 10. So that I remember. We had the highest stick rate of any event we've ever done. So when we do a live event, we use a little clicker, to track how many people are coming in each session to see, are people lobby conning it or are they coming into the actual session? We had our highest stick rate of any event that we've ever done. And then the third one, which is the one I was most nervous about, frankly, I was losing a lot of sleep. We had our highest sales figures of any event that we've ever done. So the highest conversion rate from a sales perspective, because we deliver training at these events, but then we also make an offer into a paid program on the back of this event. So we had the highest sales conversion rate of any event we've ever done, live or virtually. So
how much was the event?
This event was either part of one of our higher end programs, which is a $15,000 to $20,000 program, or sold as a $5,000 standalone program. As it is. So it's a higher ticket event. It's not a free event. It's not an inexpensive event. And so to have all these things work in that direction, I'll tell you, Eric, it's opened up a new paradigm for us where I believe that there is now space, there's a paradigm for creating this type of virtual experience for people where you deliver an amazing result for attendees and an amazing result for your business as well. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm super excited. And I know we'll talk about it before we wrap this interview about this virtual quiz funnel workshop that I'm going to be doing, taking people through the process of building one of these quizzes. And we're doing something kind of crazy where I'm going to actually do it for free. So
that is amazing. Okay, we're definitely going to talk about that towards the end. How much time do you have left, by the way?
Looking at the clock right now, and let me just take a look at my calendar. I've got a few more minutes. I've got until, I think we said, I can probably go another 10 minutes.
Okay, let's go another 10 minutes. So I do remember, okay, so you made those changes, and are you willing to share the numbers around that virtual event?
Totally. So we had, so total numbers, I mentioned scale from 1 to 10, 9.4 out of 10. I don't remember what that translates into NPS. Someone smarter than me might be able to do that conversion real quick.
Yep.
Those are highest NPS score of any event we've ever done. Total number of attendees, 255 attendees, 85% of which are members of our $15,000 to $20,000 program. Of that program, we had a 66% conversion rate. So 66% of those people renewed for a second year in that high ticket program.
Wow.
The remaining 15% were people who paid $5,000 as a standalone event. We had a 43% conversion rate among those people. So 43% of people who were there for the very first time converting into a high ticket event, which for us, for our business, those were incredibly good numbers. We were very happy with that. Coming into the event, we were forecasting much lower numbers because we just had no data point. We had no way to know how it was going to perform. So, and I think one of the reasons why is coming into the event, one of the things that we did is we are takers of our own medicine. We used what we call this ask method, which is what we've been talking about with this, quiz funnel concept. We use this ask method coming into the event to really ask people what they most needed, what they were most concerned about, what their biggest challenges were. And we use the data from that to pivot in the event in terms of the content that we deliver to serve people at the highest level. So that's one of these other great benefits is when you ask these questions, it allows you to give your audience exactly what they need. And in times like we're in right now, where literally the news cycle is changing on a weekly basis. Yep. Like you could literally create an offer that is obsolete in a matter of weeks because the world has shifted, the world has changed. Or a message, a marketing campaign that no longer makes sense, that's tone deaf because of what's happened in the world. Well, when you take the time to ask and ask the right questions, it allows you to pivot and shift and respond to those market conditions. So
are you going to stay with virtual? Or are you planning to bring it back to in person after this?
At this time, we're keeping things nimble, right? And here's the reason why. I don't know that anybody knows for sure where the world is going to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now. Here's what I do know. I do know that Microsoft and Facebook have put a moratorium on large live events through 2021. And where Microsoft and Facebook go, most of the tech world follows. So I think that's going to be a data point that's interesting to watch. We also don't know how live in-person events are going to be affected from a social distancing standpoint. So in other words, the world may open up, but the world of conferences where you're sitting shoulder to shoulder next to someone might be over. So what does that look like when you're required to remain 6 feet away from someone? Is that a chair every 6 feet apart? That doesn't feel like a great user experience to be in that type of environment, and to be surrounded by people wearing masks and face shields. That just seems like it kills a bit of the live event experience. So I believe that virtual events deliver a degree of intimacy that you just cannot get from a live event. Like you and I, like I'm in my home office right now. My son is reading his book in my office on the floor next to me right now. Like that level of intimacy does not exist when you're on a stage and you're, dressed up in your stage uniform and you're hearing a speaker. It just doesn't quite exist. Now, can you replace certain elements of a live event with virtual? Of course not. Like there's nothing that replaces like you and I hanging out at that mastermind, right, having lunch together, bonding over the fact that our food didn't come till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Make you spit out your drink there. Remember that? Like it was like, I was like offering you like, do you want to have half my salad?
Yeah, we're all hangry. Yeah.
Good time. We were eating lunch at 5 o'clock in the evening because lunch just never arrived in time. But there's nothing that will replace like bonding over stuff like that versus being virtual. But there's something to be said about not having to travel, not having to waste a day before and after a conference. There's something to be said about being able to sleep in your own bed at night. For me, tucking my kids in at night. And I ran a 3-day event and I was able to cook dinner for my family, read a story at night, and tuck my kids in bed. I never would be able to do that if I'm leading a live event at a convention center, at a hotel that's, somewhere away. So there are pluses and minuses. I don't know that one is better than the other, but I do think now there is a use case for it. And I think the world is open. The market's mind is open to this as a possibility. In fact, we asked this question in our pre-event survey and post-event survey. Coming into the event, there was a lot of skepticism. People asked, how am I going to spend 10 hours a day for 3 days straight sitting in front of a computer? And I'll tell you this, we did lunch networking sessions each day. So we gave people an hour and a half break at lunch, but we gave them the option. We said, hey, listen, you can take the hour and a half and you can do it on your own and you can just take a break. Or if you want, we're going to do small group, 4 to 5 person Zoom breakout sessions, networking on a specific topic, 15 minutes, make yourself a sandwich, make yourself a salad, go to the kitchen, come back, and let's do this. We had over 75% of people come back for the lunch networking sessions. They wanted more. We had people at the end of these 9 and 10 hour days saying, are we going to do a happy hour? Like I'll break open a bottle of wine and we can drink over Zoom. Like it was incredible the amount of community people were looking for. So will that continue after the world starts opening up and businesses start opening up and people can go into the real world? I don't know. I think that's a question mark. But right now, I think that there is a use case for you guys and for anybody on this call right now who's got a live event that you need to either move to virtual or make it not happen. I think a virtual event is worth considering.
That's awesome. All right. 2 final questions. I know we got to work towards wrapping up here. So what is one tool that you've added in the last years that's not yours? So it could be like your Aura Ring, or it could be like an app that you added that's added a lot of value to your life.
Great. Well, I'll say the Aura Ring. So I have the Aura Ring here in my thumb. People always ask me, what finger do you use it? So I'm a big fan of the Aura Ring. I like that a lot. But one that I just started using recently, it's a tool called eCam Live, ECAMM Live. And some people might be familiar with it. Some people might not be familiar with it. But it's a simple tool. It's very inexpensive that allows you to have multi-camera control literally from a piece of software on your laptop. So you can switch between, if you're doing any sort of interviews, any sort of demos, you can literally switch seamlessly between live camera, side-by-side split view, picture in picture, screen share that. You can automatically simulcast and broadcast live to any number of platforms like Facebook and YouTube and so on and so forth. It's so easy to use. And I'll tell you, I've got over $100,000 of camera and studio equipment in my office right now, mixing boards, expensive computers, multi-camera setup, lights, everything. And I'm able to recreate 90% of that with an application that costs $20 a month. and literally my webcam. So it's a big, I'm a big fan of that piece of software.
That's awesome. That's why your lighting is so good. I'm like looking at my lighting. I'm like, damn, my lighting sucks. And your lighting's so good. But anyway.
I've got a lot of lights on me right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good, man. Final question. What's one must-read book you recommend that's not your own? So you got Ask and you have Choose, but what's one that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so I'll pull one off my shelf, and I'll pull this one right here. So this is a book that many people might be familiar with, but we run all of our companies on the rocket fuel model. Rocket fuel is a paradigm, if you're not familiar, that is the visionary integrator dynamic. And I'm very grateful to have a business partner who is a world-class integrator. I'm the visionary, he's the integrator. And I'll tell you, when we partnered, our business exploded. That's when we had our hockey stick growth. If you haven't read it, if you haven't implemented this, it gets my highest recommendation.
Incredible book. Gino Wickman actually emailed me the other day, so he's going to be on this podcast. And so Rocket Fuel is great. Guys, read Traction as well.
Yeah, I got it right
there
here.
you go. Traction's right there. EOS.
My Bible. I mean, they're right here. And I will tell you this to bring the conversation full circle. Talk about businesses that have been built on the back of an assessment. That's exactly what he uses in every single one of his books. You take the EOS assessment to figure out what your business's score is, what your EOS score is, and based on that, identify the gap that exists right now and where you are right now and where you want to go. So just another example of a business built on the back of a quiz funnel assessment.
I love it. Well, Ryan, this has been great. So but what's the offer you have for people? Please tell us about it. I know we're going to create a link, singlegrain.com/ask. That's ASK.
Yeah.
But what do you got for people? How do people find you?
So I'm going to be doing a live quiz funnel workshop. So I'm going to be taking you through the process of building one of these quiz funnels step-by-step live over the course of several days. It is totally free. I'm going to be doing this totally free. And the link to get access to this is singlegrain.com/ask.
Yes.
ASK. And this workshop is kicking off. It's a one-time only live event. It kicks off June 15th. So if you're watching this before June 15th, if you're listening to this before June 15th, mark that date in your calendar. You absolutely want to be there. Clear your calendar because we're going to be going deep. I'm going to be going through the process of creating these from start to finish. We're going to look at dozens of examples. So I know we verbally talked about some of these. And if you're the type of person that likes to learn visually, we're going to go through dozens of examples to inspire you and get you excited about this. And we're even going to talk about that opportunity to get me and my team to just build your quiz for you. To take that totally off your plate. So June 15th is the big day, singlegrain.com/ask, and it's a totally free live quiz funnel workshop. Can't wait to host you and have you part of that.
Awesome. And guys, the link, those of you watching live right now, the link is not live yet. We will put that live once I get the link. And Ryan, final question, how do people find you online? Is there something, email, what do you prefer?
Yeah, the best way to probably follow what I do is just look me up on Facebook. And you can find me at Ask Ryan Levesque. So that's Ask Ryan Levesque. You just type that in at Ask Ryan Levesque. And I'm also on Instagram, although I'm much less active on Instagram. So Ask Ryan Levesque on Facebook is probably the best way to do it.
Cool. And those of you asking for the link right now, don't worry. Try in a day or so. I'll have the link. Don't worry, guys. So Ryan, thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate your time.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Eric. I'm looking forward to it.